The absolute dumpster fire that Zom 100's production has had could be studied for generations to come. This is another example of a series that kind of flew too close to the sun, and I think anyone at this point that has been kind of either watching my content or let's say just watching Zom 100 has pretty much become very well aware of the delays. Constant delays back to back every single week, and obviously sometimes the delays weren't by much, it was just a 1 day delay, but when you have delays every single week, that stuff starts to add up. And about 3-4 weeks ago, I made a video talking about this exact same subject, that Zom 100 most likely was eventually going to get an indefinite hiatus, and who would have guessed it actually happened? And a lot of people are probably wondering, what's really going on? Why is Zom 100 just an absolute dumpster fire right now, and why does this keep happening to just so much anime? Now, I can't necessarily say exactly what's going on with Zom 100 because obviously I'm not someone that's working on it or behind the scenes and an expert and knows everything in the inner workings, but we can take an educated guess. We can assume that since this is Bug Films' first anime they've ever worked on, FYI, this is literally their first anime, we can assume that they flew too close to the sun, they tried to be very ambitious with what they were working on, and obviously in terms of what the series actually requires, like if anyone has actually watched the series and has somehow managed to make it to episode 9 and watch episode 9, could all agree that the series does look very good. Like, for a series that is plagued by production issues and clearly a lot of delays, it does look very good. Like, if you didn't know anything, like, let's just say, hypothetically, you were to find out about Zom 100 this moment, okay? Like, this is the first time you're hearing about it, and you were to sit down and watch the 9 episodes. You probably wouldn't think anything's bad about the series. Be like, whoa, this is a really good anime. What's going on? Why are people complaining about it? Whatever. People are not necessarily complaining about the quality. They're not complaining about the story. They're not complaining about anything like that. They're just complaining that there is continuous delays for an anime that is clearly really good and had so much potential to really just pop off this anime season, but it hasn't been able to because of just back-to-back delays, which has eventually led to this right here, indefinite hiatus. So let's get a little bit more into it, okay? So, the anime. What's happening? Why did it get delayed? Well, at this point in time, the reason why it's indefinitely delayed stems to broadcasting slots. That is the obvious answer here, and this is kind of what happened with previous anime from this year, like with Nier, etc., is when an anime is delayed continuously, eventually it runs out of broadcasting TV slots that are filled up by new anime. Like, let's give this a little bit more simpler explanation. So, basically, you have 12, maybe 14 weeks that is kind of pushed aside for Zom 100, okay? And let's say for those 14 slots, they miss 6 of those slots and they have to reschedule within those 14 weeks. You know, that's going to start to overlap into the next anime season. So, for instance, this is hypothetical. Let's say, you know, Mushoku Tensei was still airing, okay? And Zom 100 was airing at, let's say, 9:30 p.m. And Mushoku Tensei for the next anime season was going to be also airing at 9:30 p.m. Clearly, the series that already had its, you know, schedule lined up, that's going to take priority because it's already been there, and it's not going to have itself taken away from with a series that's needing to be rescheduled continuously. So basically, Zom 100 ran out of broadcasting slots on TV in Japan, and now it needs to wait for slots to be open, repurchase slots, etc., to be able to run the anime. And I'm willing to bet you it gets pretty expensive. I think that the rescheduling and rebroadcasting, I'm going to take an educated guess, that really adds up in terms of cost. I don't know the exact estimate, but I know that probably can't be cheap and probably healthy for the overall series, you know, if you're continuously having to, you know, push to a new bracket on TV or whatever. But, yeah, that is the short and simple answer of what has happened at this point, is that, you know, just they don't have any broadcasting slots. The new anime season's basically starting in a week from now. And so clearly they don't have, you know, any available slots to probably release episode 10 and onward because, you know, they don't know when they'll potentially be airing it. We'll have to probably wait for a while, maybe a few weeks until we get confirmation of when it potentially will be airing. But I would not be surprised if Zom 100 doesn't necessarily air for fall season and will air probably at the end of the year or maybe at the beginning of next year. I definitely could see something like that happening. Now, obviously things could change and maybe it could air air 4 weeks from now, but I feel like, judging by the way everything has been with the series, that they're probably just going to release the final episodes in bulk. That's my educated guess. They'll release the final, like, 3 or so episodes, and then that's it. And I feel like, effectively, what this production problem has caused has probably killed the show for potentially getting a season 2. Now, once again, I don't work behind the scenes, so I can't say for certain. But, I mean, when you have a series that's continuously having these problems, it does damper the hype and just the fan base, like, where they don't really care about it anymore, and it's kind of sad. I mean, once again, Zom 100 is a legitimately good anime. Like, this is a really good show. I have no hate towards this. It's a good-looking show, good story, good zombie show. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's legit fun. And it's just, see the dumpster fire that it's become behind the scenes, it is just legitimately sad. It's a really sad sight, and, you know, I feel for the future of Bug Films as well, because I don't know necessarily what happened here. I mean, we could kind of look at a lot of things. We could say, you know, maybe it was just them being too ambitious, maybe the producers, you know, that was kind of trying to produce it, you know, they weren't working well with Bug Films. We don't really know. We probably will never get confirmation of exactly what happened, but there was early warning signs that there was problems behind the hood because of just the way the opening song was. Anyone that, you know, watched the early opening song of Zom 100, it was very clear that the opening wasn't complete. And FYI, in the past few episodes, the opening was finally completed, and you actually had fully new visuals and everything in the opening song that wasn't just reused footage from previous episodes. So it showed that there was already issues getting things finished just with the opening song alone, because they had to reuse footage, and then they corrected it a few weeks back. So yeah, that speaks volumes in of itself. So this could be, you know, a really rough start to Bug Films. Hopefully they can kind of recover from this, but I don't think Zom 100 is going to probably recover from just the continuous delays, because at this point in time, with it now being put on indefinite hiatus, let's be honest here, people are going to forget about it, because the new anime season's approaching. We're going to have Goblin Slayer, we're going to have Eminence and Shadow, 100 Girlfriends, Free Run Journey's End. You know, there's a bunch of new stuff that's coming out in a few weeks from now, and people are going to completely forget about Zom 100. That's the truth. People are just going to, you know, have this series fade from their minds. They're not going to think about it, and then eventually this series is going to come out. Some people are going to remember, and be like, and then some people are going to hear about it, and they're not going to be bothered to continue it. And that's probably the fate of the series, which is legit sad, but it is what it is. I hope that a lot of anime companies going into 2024 have learned from the catastrophe that 2023 has been. It doesn't repeat all these mistakes that we clearly have been seeing back to back. But I'll leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this. I felt this was kind of important to give people up to date. I know a lot of people watch Zom 100 that watch my channel, and I wanted to let you all in the know if you're unaware of it. But anyways, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.